Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Beyond Recovery. My guest today is Sheryn. So Sheryn is the founder and director of Evolution House, sober living healing house that opened here in Edmonton, June 2022. They currently have a location for men and a location for women. She is also a power engineer with a career up north for the past 5 years, a Reiki practitioner, Sound Healing Practitioner, life coach, personal trainer, real estate investor, entrepreneur, and of course, my guest today. Sheryn, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very happy to be here. It's a long time coming.
It is. I was going to say, that was what I was going to start it off with. You and I started talking a little over a year ago, and I really liked everything that you, just the whole idea of Evolution House and everything you have going with it. And I was pretty surprised, like you were at that stage in the infant stages. Like it was June. I must have reached out to you within this first couple months. And we had a great conversation. I was like, oh, you got to come on the podcast. And then here we are some 14 months later and we're talking. So I'm really happy you're on today.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's better that I kind of waited and came on now because like Evolution House is a little more established now. We've been open for a little over a year. So, and like people are finding out about it more and I'm very grateful for that. So now I have a little bit more to discuss with you about Evolution House. So yeah.
Definitely the evolution of Evolution House, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's great. Like you said, like I said in the intro, and we know now, like you have two houses. So you started off with the one, and fairly recently, like I believe early this year is when you basically were able to get two houses, part of your real estate investing and all that. We want to get into your personal story, but before we do, let's talk a little bit more about Evolution House. So when did that get on your radar that you wanted to open something like this, and how important was it to you to get off and running? And we'll start with there.
So I kind of had this idea that I wanted to open a sober living house as soon as I got into recovery. I've kind of always had an entrepreneurial background in my blood because my parents have always been entrepreneurial. They came here from Lebanon before I was born. I was born here. And when they got here, my dad had a job, but then eventually they quickly got into the restaurant business. And so I have a strong background in being entrepreneurial. So I've seen them do it. They worked really hard and I just love the idea of having your own business. And I also like really wanted to give back and help people. And because I was a previous addict, I felt like I had something to give back. And so that's kind of where the idea started. Slowly over time, I decided I'm going to be a power engineer because actually, I decided I was going to be a personal trainer, but that wasn't paying the bills. And then I went to being a power engineer because, the money was better. And it was a good career and it still is. I'm still doing that. But the moment that I realized I'm going to open Evolution House is actually interesting story. It kind of goes a lot with, I guess, my journey in recovery and all the things and obstacles that I've faced and the trauma that I've faced as well. But I ended up going to Mexico to do ayahuasca, which is a plant medicine. And it's used for healing, especially for healing of trauma. And I had already done it before in Peru. And it was very healing for me. I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later, but when I went to do it in Mexico, my main reason to do it in Mexico was actually to take a friend of mine who had never done it before. And she kind of wanted somebody that she trusted to go on this healing journey with. And I had already done it before. So I was feeling comfortable doing that with her. And so when we went there, we both did that. And she had a very transformational experience. I think because I had already done it a few times before and I'd kind of already like brought up a lot of that trauma. It wasn't like super transformational at that time, but something that did come up during that ceremony was Evolution House.
Wow.
So, and it's crazy because even the name came to me at that time. It's like, I need to do this. This is what I need to do. I need to open up this healing house for people. And this is going to be like my baby. Like I'm going to, I'm going to give this thing life and I'm going to help people and it's going to be called Evolution House. It's like all came to me during the ceremony.
Wow.
Yes. And then since that day that I went, like I just started working really hard towards opening it. And I think within like 3 months, I had it kind of like a name, website starting to happen, and then registered with the government and everything. And then probably about, I'd say, 8 months after that ayahuasca ceremony, I had it open. The doors were open.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
quite a turnaround. You know, people talk about like manifesting things. I'm sure we'll get into that because I know that's a big part of, you know, just the way you present yourself on Instagram and such. And we've had conversations about, you know, manifesting in different books that we both have enjoyed. That's
Mhm.
pretty crazy turnaround time though. Like 8 months from having this vision come to you in an ayahuasca trip to executing it. Like that's very impressive. So and I imagine very satisfying for you to just see that come, you know, opening the doors. Like that must have been a little bit of a surreal moment, like night one when you're having, you know, the first people coming in.
Yeah, it was so surreal. And there was a lot of challenges I faced along the way. And a lot of it was obstacles that came up that said, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do this. You are
Mm,
not going to be able to do this. So many obstacles. Like it definitely wasn't easy by no means. Like
mm,
just because you hear me say that it happened within 8 months does not mean it was easy, but at all. There was so many things that came up, and it was like, gosh, like, am I wasting my time? But I
mm,
had to push that idea in the back and say no, because like in my gut, I knew that this is something that I needed to do. And so I told myself, you know what, I'm just going to keep going and, you know, not give up, because if I give up, then I'm always going to wonder if it would have worked. So I said, I'm just going to keep going and just have it open and just try. And then if it fails, it fails. At least I said I did it. Right.
yeah, you've executed on the idea. What is the difference, do you think, for you? And I imagine there's, like you said, you've sort of been modeled by your parents, like the whole entrepreneurial side of things. Because like I think a lot of people get to those first few challenges, first few bumps in the road, or somebody having their commentary on it. You know, you're never going to be able to do this. And they're like, yeah, you know what? And they'll give up. So what is it about you that, or I guess, how do you navigate that? You've mentioned, you know, like when you have that self-talk come in, what do you do to get yourself, like, no, like you say, you put it back to the back of your brain or wherever it may go. But like, what sort of things do you to pump yourself back up to be able to get over those obstacles?
It's it's almost like it's natural to me now to do that because
Mm,
I've done it so often. But I think when I first started, um, the first time that I started doing things this way, where like I'd have obstacles and I'd say, I'm gonna do this anyway and see if it works. I think the first memorable moment that I did that was when I was in school for power engineering. And
mm,
so coming from an addiction background, I had a criminal record. And so that was a huge obstacle for me to get a job. And I had to go and spend all this money on school and
mm,
then do all this time in school and stuff. And there was a potential that I wouldn't get this job. Um, so I think it was like halfway through school or something like that. And I realized there's a potential that I might not get a job. And I've put all this effort, time, money in. And so I had the option of saying, screw it. I'm just going to go back to personal training and whatever. I'm already halfway through and I'm already did all this work and like money. And I mean, like I might as well just keep going and just see and try. Um, and I think the reason why I didn't want to just give up is because I already had nothing in my life. I
mm,
already reached rock bottom.
mhm,
Uh, the last day that I used, I had zero, nothing to my name. Like my car was completely crashed. I had no property. Like my place was gone. Everything, like nothing. I was like back to square one, living with my parents, had nothing at all.
mm,
And like literally, basically no. Like I had education, but I didn't really have anything I could put towards getting a job or anything. And there was nothing on my resume because I had been using for so long and not working.
mm.
So it was like I was a new person, just starting from nothing, from scratch.
Yeah.
And through the years of me having nothing, I was able to build myself back up. I went and became a personal trainer, and I did it really fast. And I got a job, and I did that really fast. And there was so many other things that I did, like I quit smoking. And there were so many little things that I did, like goals that I accomplished. And I realized that I can do a lot with my life in a short amount of time if I actually put my mind to it and put the effort in. that's
Mhm.
required. And I think that's something that I did with my recovery as well, that kind of proved to me that I can get there. Because when I first got into recovery, I was actually looking at doing a lot of jail time, um,
Mm.
because I had really screwed up my life. And this is the result of doing hard drugs and kind of losing your mind because you don't realize or have the morals or anything. Like it can totally take over you. And
Mm.
you do things that you would never do. And
Right.
so it got crazy. And yeah, those were the consequences I had to face. But as soon as I got into recovery, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to treatment center and then I'm going to go to another treatment center right after. So I did two back to back. I got out because I was so like done. I was like, I'm not doing this ever again. I don't want to hurt people with my addiction. I don't want to hurt myself or my family. It was, it was beyond the point now where like there was too much chaos and destruction in my life. And
Mm.
so I was like so motivated to turn my life around that I just did everything. And then I proved to myself. I even went back to court and they dismissed my time that I had to do. Like
Wow.
yeah, they gave me
Wow.
house arrest because I came
Wow.
in with a crowd full of people behind me, a stack of character reference letters. I had completed 2 years of university, like, and there was just so much volunteer work at detoxes.
Mm.
I would speak at high schools. I was I was the event coordinator at my 12-step group. I had many sponsees. I had a lot of clean time. Like I made sure that whatever the people who have more clean time were doing to get that success, that I was doing that too.
Mm.
Because I knew if it was successful for them, then it's going to be successful for me. What makes me any different?
Right.
And so that's how I look at things. As I say, okay, if this person is a millionaire and they did this, this, and this to get there, well,
Yeah,
then why
yeah.
can't I do that to get there?
Right.
Right? Like what makes me any different than them?
Right.
My
I love that.
mindset.
Yeah, totally. I was going to say, I love that mindset. Let's go. We're definitely, and that was the next topic I wanted to get into was your actual recovery story. You were sort of giving some hints as far as how you got out of that, which is amazing. I want to give you the opportunity to go back as far back as you want to go, as you care to go, and yeah, just get into how you got into drugs, alcohol, how you got out of it. I'll give you like as long as you want to go into yeah, your recovery story. I'd love to hear it.
Okay. It's been a while since I've talked about my past. And I used to share it all the time when I was speaking at the detoxes in high schools and all that. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a really long time since I brought it up. I do prefer to obviously focus on my present and my future because I think that that's more beneficial to me. But I see a value in showing people that from where I came from that this is possible. So I'm very happy to share that with everybody. And I'm not really sure where I'm going to start here, but I guess I'll just have a background of saying that um, I was raised in a good home. And so, like, my parents were not drinkers, anything like that. So I had a good upbringing. But I think a lot of my addiction started when I was moving around a lot when I was younger and had a hard time making friends.
Mm.
And so I ended up hanging out with kids on the street, and that kind of started my using. And of course, there was some childhood trauma, of course, like I mean, or teenage trauma that probably contributed to that because the addiction is trauma based. So it says I think a lot of it was just that feeling of wanting to be needed and accepted, and so that played a huge part in me starting my addiction.
Mm.
Um, yeah, fast forward from when I was 16 and I started using, experimenting with different drugs and partying. Um, I ended up, I still tried. I still went to university. Thanks to my mom for pulling me out of things and making sure I went back to school every time. Um, but yeah, I still struggled. I dabbled with hard drugs. And I was in an abusive relationship, a couple of them. um there was a lot of things that happened during my 10 years of using. um
Mm. Mhm.
I think, yeah, about 10 years, 9 or 10 years of using. Wow, I just realized that it's been 9 years that I've been clean off drugs.
You
So
could,
this
Yeah.
year. So I guess I've now officially equaled the time that I
The
used
time that
for
you were
like,
using. Yeah.
yeah, recovery time. So
That's
that's
awesome. Congratulations.
thank you.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
So yeah, and then I guess I after that I got into a really bad car accident. I don't really want to get into so much detail about the using
Sure.
because it's honestly kind of a blur in my mind now
Yeah,
because I haven't really talked about it. But
totally.
the main things is I was in abusive relationships. I was in and out of jails a few times. And then the last time was I was in a very, very bad car accident. Um, where both me well, actually I barely had any injuries, but my friend that was with me, she endured very terrible, terrible injuries. And um that was the moment that I stopped using.
Mm,
I actually woke up in the hospital because the car was totaled. They had to use the jaws of life to get us out. And that's where I realized like this is no more. Like I don't want to do this anymore. It's gone out of control. Like that's just like whoever thinks they're gonna wake up in the hospital from that. And yeah, and then they took me away to jail. And um yeah, it was very traumatic for me to go through something like that. And I strongly believe that, you know, if you don't heal the trauma from your inner child, it will
mhm,
keep repeating itself in your lifetime.
mhm,
And it will just keep steadily getting worse and worse and worse until that trauma manifests into something so intense in your life that it's like your higher self is saying, hey, wake up, I need you to heal this, otherwise it's just going to keep manifesting into worse traumas. So
mhm.
I think that's what happened there. And then I went to jail. And I was just like, it was like a light switch went off in my head, and I was just like, I'm done. I'm never doing this again. I can't, like, it's just like, I can't hurt people. I can't hurt myself. Like, my family is devastated. Like, what have I been doing? And kind of like just, that's when my life kind of changed. And I reached out to somebody that was in the program that I had met because I was, you know, had been going to meetings before, but I never really stuck it out. And I reached out to somebody, and he was a strong member of the program. And yeah, he helped me a lot. Like he went and he got my application to treatment center while I was in jail. And he got it to two of them. He came to my court date and he brought the acceptance letter. And because he did that, I was able to get out on bail and go to treatment. And on the condition that I would go back to jail after. But I was like, I don't care. I want to go get treatment. You know, like I anything to get better, right? I can't like
Mhm.
being around all these people in an institution, and a lot of them don't want to get better. It's really hard to be in that atmosphere when you are
Yeah.
like done with it.
Mhm.
So I went to Bonnyville Treatment Center, and you know the condition was I have to go back to jail after. And so I went and I did it, and I did it to my best ability, and I did my steps in there, even though I didn't have a sponsor yet. And um, then afterwards, I got accepted into Poundmakers Treatment Center, and I got
Mm.
accepted into Poundmakers Treatment Center for the same date that I was supposed to go back to jail. By the grace of God, I went to that court and I showed them the paper that Poundmakers is taking me in,
Yeah.
and they let me go.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's God's work right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Wow.
so when I went back to or when I went to Pound Makers, this time the condition was not that I had to go back to jail after. It was that I go to Pound Makers and then I stay on bail until my court. And so that gave me the opportunity. And I looked at that and I was just like, God gave me this opportunity that I can now do things with my life. I can change the outcome of what was going to happen. And so I took that opportunity because if an opportunity presents itself in your life, you should take it and you should do it to the best of your ability because you don't not everybody gets these chances.
Yeah.
So and that's how I looked at it, and it's all about how you look at things, right? So the way looking at it that way helped me to put my 100% in everything that I did recovery based. Um, I got out of there, and then I immediately joined the CMA program, and now I went to other meetings as well, but that was my main home group. And I became really heavily involved with it. I started doing as much service work as I possibly could. I became the event coordinator, I became the chair, I became uh, somebody who would go and speak at the detoxes, even high schools. Um, and a lot of it was all because of my friend that helped me.
Yeah.
And so I seen that and I was like, wow, like if it wasn't for this person helping me, then who knows if my life would be like this. And so I was so, so grateful and thankful to him. And so that, I think that was kind of one of the reasons too that I kind of put that idea in my head that I wanted to help people also, um, to be able to get that chance to recover and heal from their past and change their lives. So yeah, and then now I'm here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, thanks for sharing that. It is important, like you say, and I totally understand the, you're wanting to be, thinking about present moment and, what's coming next and visualizing, which we will get into, the future plans for yourself and for Evolution House and such. But I think it's also so important, as you also acknowledged, to hear people's recovery stories, right? Like for myself, that's really what helped me, because like I used to use alone a lot of the time, right? So I truly felt like my problems were mine and there was nobody else out there that had a similar problem. And then as soon as I started going to like a program or some meetings, it was such a relief to know that, oh, like not even close. Like there's so many people that have, maybe not the nuanced, problems perhaps, or like my perceived problems that I have, but there's still like this overarching, okay, no, there's definitely people going through this. So I think it's super important for people to hear, especially like a success story like yours. So I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Definitely. So yeah, I want to get into, I guess, the future of it. Like, you have a lot of things on the go. You've mentioned the personal trainer thing. So that's a big part of your ongoing recovery here. You're coming up on, you said 10 years. So I know that, the physical side of things, the mental health that comes along with going to the gym. That's definitely something that you promote on your Instagram as well. How important has that been, that specific part, like working out, going to the gym? How big has that been as far as like your ongoing recovery?
So one of the main reasons that I started using drugs, believe it or not, because it kind of sounds silly, is because I had a very terrible self-image of myself. And so I used drugs to lose weight. That was the initial reason that I started using hard drugs. Um, yeah, and so a huge trigger of mine was weight gain. And so as soon as I got into jail the last time, I knew that if I let myself gain weight, that's going to be a trigger for me. And so I needed to learn new ways to solve this issue, instead of my old ways, which was using. So I discovered the issue, which was weight gain was a trigger. Now, obviously, there's more to that, which is self-image and self-love. But I knew that the something I could do right away to help this was to exercise and to eat healthier and to learn how to like treat my body better, right? So that that was a part of the self-love as well, too, right? So um obviously there was some deeper issues there with, self-love and image and self-image and all that, that stemmed from childhood. But this is something that I knew I could do right now. So I started working out in jail. I started like asking other women who were working out what I could do. Yeah, and I started doing things in my room and with some of the other girls that were working out. And then that's how it started. And then when I got out and I got into treatment, I actually met a guy who was a bodybuilder, and he kind of showed me some things. And that's kind of how it started my personal training journey. I was like, I want to be a personal trainer. I love this. So I started forming an addiction to working out. It was
Yeah.
because you're increasing your endorphins. It feels good. It's a natural high. And so
Yeah.
that was replacing the high
Mm-hmm.
that I used to like. And so I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I can feel good about myself, um, and create all these natural chemicals that are making me feel good by
Mm-hmm.
exercising. So that has been such a huge part of my recovery. I believe that everything in your life is tied together
Yeah.
physically, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. Your body and mind are linked. They're
Mm-hmm.
not separate things, they're connected.
Yeah.
So if you're going to treat your body right, your mind's going to feel better. Not going to treat your body right, your mind's not going to feel better,
Right.
right? So if
Absolutely.
you're putting drugs in your body, it's affecting your body and your mind.
Yeah.
If you're putting alcohol in your body, it's going to affect your body and your mind. You're going to, your body's going to be sluggish.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to gain weight. You're going to feel tired, but you're also going to feel depressed the next day,
Yeah.
right? So it's a
Yeah.
depressant. And it goes with everything. Put
Mm-hmm.
good foods in your bodies, healthier foods, your mind's going to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Have a healthy nutritional balance, your mind's going to feel better and your body's going to feel better. And same with exercise as well. They even say like exercise goes as far as helping Alzheimer's. So
Yeah.
a
Right.
mind problem, right? So
Yeah.
to think that they're separate, that's not a good start. Um, but
Yeah.
to know that they're all linked, mind, body, and spirit, well, now you're treating every part of you equally, and you're giving each part love and treating it as part of you. So yeah, it was huge. It was very beneficial for me, and I continued to keep it in my routine, and I think that was one of the main reasons that I was able to have so much success in my recovery over the years, because it really helped me in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think I can definitely relate to that. That was the first thing that I replaced my uh you know addict behavior with, was like, they say like watch replacing one habit for another, because you're still not dealing with the why, which I understand, but it was
Mhm.
such a healthier habit than drinking, you know what I mean? Go to the gym. And like to your point, there was this like, it's kind of surprised me how much of like the mental health aspect of it, that I hadn't really thought of. Because like I remember back in high school, like I liked gym class for that. It would just give me that rush of energy and such. But by the time I was 30, I'd sort of forgotten about how big of a mental health benefit there is to physical activity, right? So yeah, I totally relate to that, especially early on. I want to get into a few more of the different things that you're into as well, like the sound healing and all that. Before we do though, I've noticed on some of your answers here, like very much a like solution based, like I basically want to talk mindset. So you're very much like a solution based, like, okay, what are the steps? It's like, as soon as you have something in your head, you're like, okay, what are the steps? Who are the people that I need to get into my life that have done this before, that can model this for me? Like, it seems that you're very much like, when you get something in your head, what are the steps I need to take? So whether that's books, podcasts, let's just talk a little bit about that mindset. Like, how do you go about forming a plan and then executing a plan? And then what are those different elements that you bring in to help execute that?
Okay. I think it's something I trained myself to do, because
Hmm.
I definitely didn't used to be like that, I don't think, from what I
Oh,
remember.
okay.
And
Interesting.
I used to be a procrastinator.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Interesting.
I was an addict, and I didn't really have much to, like, I still went to school and stuff like that and tried to do better, but yeah, I was a procrastinator, and I threw my life away. And then,
Hmm.
yeah, I changed that. So I think a lot of it has to do with the desire to want to be better. I think that's the initial motivator. If you have the desire and it's bad enough, you'll actually put in the work to learning and figuring out what you can do to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my desire was really bad after that car accident. Like, it was like, okay, I need to fix my life. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I started fixing my life, I realized how many years I threw away, and I'm like, I need to kind of catch up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so during that, I started reading a lot of self-help books and watching a lot of YouTube videos and learning from other people who are more successful than me how I can do these things, motivational videos. And so I've also kind of always been a common sense kind of person. I like to break things down and learn why, and how things happen, um and also having faith too. So if you have faith that things will work, then they do. And so I think a lot of that was from experience as well too. um maybe even the gym helped too, because now that I think about it, it's like when I first started working out, I started to see results within like a couple months, and I'm like, oh, okay, if
Mm.
I work hard, I can change my life.
Yeah,
This
right.
could really translate in other parts of my life as well.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. That
I
makes
think a lot
sense.
of learning that, if you put effort into finding out what you need to do and you execute those steps, I think a lot of it has to do with seeing results too, because once you start to see results, then you are more motivated to do that in other parts of your life. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to teach. Well, it is what we're trying to teach at Evolution House. It's, it's showing people, okay, well, this is part of our program. This is what we require you to do. And then once they start to do it because they're required to do it, well, then they start to see results in their life and see how their mindset changes and see how their physical body changes and all these things, and see that they're happier. And then once they start to see those results, well, they just want to do it, because it's like, it's translating and it's proving to themselves that this is working. So yeah, I think that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah.
And how I formed that. And now it's to the point where I've literally programmed myself to just do it. Like if I am in a bad state of mind where I'm having a really bad day or something happened and it's like, oh, I feel really shitty about this. And I just, kind of just want to sit here and not do anything. That doesn't last very long for me anymore. It's to the point where it's like 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Depending on what happened. Obviously, like some things that are very traumatic that happen obviously need more time and to feel and to heal.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times I can feel it and then I can say, okay, well, I can sit here and sulk, or I can figure out a way to make myself feel better. And these are the things that I need to do to make myself feel better. And would you rather sit there in your just your self-pity and your victim mode and just kind of sulk? And I mean, I know it's good to feel things sometimes, but then there's overfeeling. And it's like, if you're gonna sit there and sulk and play, oh, poor me, victim, it's not doing you any good.
I have a question. Yeah, that's a great conversation talk. I'm kind of curious how the difference for yourself. For example, for myself, like I did a lot of just bypassing or pushing down or avoiding or distracting. I still do when it's time to feel certain feelings. You know what I mean? Like the ones that I used to drink away still show up, and I still use a pattern of distraction or like keeping busy to not sit with those. So like I'm getting to the stage where I can practice that and sitting with them. And it's sort of like, I don't know, it's really hard to describe. So I'm going to try and make you describe it for you anyways. Like how you attune that as far as like, okay, like you say, after about 30 minutes, like, do you have a cap on, okay, I'm going to feel this because it's worth feeling. Otherwise I'm just going to be avoiding or pushing it down or numbing it or doing something else. But for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to allow myself to feel this. And then from there, I'm going to move on to like a solution. Is there like a certain technique that you use for that?
I don't think that there ever can be a time limit on that. And I think it's very personal to each person. And don't get me wrong, I still do those things. I still bury my feelings. I still get over busy and try to, I guess just push away the feelings and just be super busy and not feel them. But I'll catch myself after like a few days or a couple weeks, and I'll be like, oh, this issue keeps coming up and it keeps making me feel bad, and I keep pushing it away and doing all these things to not feel it. And then sorry, my dog.
It's okay. I love your dog.
Adorable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Milo, stop.
Milo's on the podcast. Awesome.
Milo, yes, introducing to Milo. Many people know Milo.
That's great. Awesome.
I'll just give it a minute here.
Yeah, for sure.
Milo, stop it. Come here.
You can always grab Milo and introduce as well if you want.
Oh, Milo, come here. Milo.
we have had many animals on the show over the years. So yeah.
This is my
yes. Hello.
Toy American Eskimo.
Yes, tremendous. Hey, Milo. Oh, awesome. Yeah, such a cool dog. How long have you had Milo?
I've had him for 11 years.
Wow.
I him through my addiction.
That's
he was
so
in my
cool.
car accident with me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, story. Oh, so important that he came on the show. Wicked.
Yeah, like he's been through everything with me. It's crazy.
Oh, that's so cool.
My baby.
That's such a cool dog. Yeah.
Sorry, I lost my my track of.
No, yeah, I think we we're just talking about like the you say that it's obviously it's very personal. You basically it'll catch up with you sometimes after a couple of weeks. You realize that this emotion is coming up, it's repeating itself, and that's when you're able to catch yourself and go, oh wait, there's something to this. And then I think that you were getting to the stage where you're going to describe like what you do as far as feeling it.
Yeah, so I've taken some courses for self-growth, and I believe that the growth journey never ends. I'm always doing something that can continue to grow and be better. So a lot of those courses helped me to deal with a lot of my issues that I'm still dealing with, and to help me feel them. So, for example, I did one last year, and it had a really powerful meditation in it that actually helps you to bring up the feeling from
Mm.
your inner child and to feel it and to sit with it. And then a lot of it too is like um, kind of being that parent for yourself too, to that inner child, and helping yourself heal, because a lot of the issues that are surface that may manifest in your life are actually linked to your inner child, and a lot of the things that we're going through or went through and are still coming up. And so that was super powerful for me to do, a very transformational course. And I'm always looking for self-growth courses to help me be better. It's hard to find the time to do them. I'm kind of addicted to courses now.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing meditations are great. Just sitting with the feelings. And there's lots of stuff on YouTube that you can look up for
Mhm. Yeah.
self-growth, meditations, a lot of different things. And yeah, like that's kind of the main things that I've done. And then I have also done plant medicine too. That's helped me a
Mhm.
lot in my spiritual and my self-growth journey as well. So that's something that I'm pretty open about. But I think a lot of people still don't know about. So that's
Yeah,
another.
well, let's get into it a little bit. So before we do, I just said I wrote it down on my notes that I want to some of the courses and specifically the books. Like, what are some of the, because I know you and I share a few books that we both really enjoy, and oftentimes you were comparing notes on what we're listening to or reading. What are some of your I guess your like Mount Rushmore top 3 books, you know what I mean, that you had over these last 10 years or even recent ones that are just like, oh, these were game changers for me.
Okay, so I think one of them that changed my life was Becoming Supernatural
Mm-hmm.
by Joe Dispenza.
Yeah.
That showed me that I could manifest things in my life, and so I started using that to manifest. Funny, because I was already doing what he told people to do in his book before I even read the book. So it's kind of like my
Interesting.
intuition told me this is how you do this. I was
Yeah.
doing it, and then I read the book, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a thing that people do.
Mm-hmm.
So I better keep doing it. And so I did. I kept doing it even more, like to a T of how he said to do it.
So cool.
And then things would even manifest even faster in my life. So
Wow. Yeah.
that's a number one for me. Another one that I'd say is Think and Grow Rich by Nicole
Yes.
Hill.
Yeah.
Amazing book. Really, really helped me manifest things as well. And it's really good for mindset and believing in yourself. Um, what else? There's so many good books. I can't.
Yeah.
I find it hard to even have time to read books because I have so much going on. So, but I think another one that I really like too is Rich Dad Poor Dad, because that really helped
Yes.
me start my real estate game.
Real estate
And
part.
so
Yeah.
that was part of opening up the sober living healing house was
Yeah,
the
very cool. Oh,
believing.
very cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
actually read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I'm like, oh, I should start investing in real estate, and then also I should open a sober living house. It just kind of all tied in together
All
at the
tied in
same
together.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so cool that you get the right book or the right podcast or the right course at the right time, it seems, doesn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Very cool. Yeah, that was the segue. What we're going to talk in, oh yeah, the plant medicine. Let's get into this. So, because like you say, it's yeah, some people don't even really know what it's about. Other people, like, it is getting to the point I'm finding that it's getting more accepted, I would say. Like people are using like I mean ketamine, but like psilocybin, even for you'll take a microdose of psilocybin and then sit with like a therapist or something like that, right? Like these types of things have been happening sort of more on the fringe, and it's becoming closer and closer to mainstream acceptance. So
Mhm.
it's definitely a hot topic, and some people ayahuasca, ever since like Joe Rogan and some of these podcasts have talking about it, all of a sudden like the knowledge base around it is a lot broader. So yeah, a little bit about your experiences with plant medicine and why you like them.
Well, my first experience with plant medicine in recovery, um, I guess I should say my first experience ever with plant medicine, because I mean, I used psilocybin before, but that was not for medicinal purposes, and that's different. So
Right.
your intention of what you're doing with it can make a huge difference with what happens.
Definitely.
Intention works hand in hand with plant medicine. If you're going into the plant medicine and you don't have the intention to heal, you're not going to. Um, I feel like these things were put on our earth by God or Mother Nature or higher power in order to help us heal, but a lot of people can abuse them. So it's just knowing it's the power of the mind, really. So if your mind is in the right place and you're saying, I want to use this to help you heal, that plant can help you heal. And the first time that I experienced that was in 2019. So I had something really traumatic happen to me, and I was already in recovery. Um, uh, so that was the best and worst year of my life.
Mm.
I got engaged that year to the love of my life. I had met a man, and he was amazing. We hit it off so quickly. It was like we met, and then we got really close, super serious, and then all of a sudden we were engaged, and I was so happy. We were planning a wedding, and then in September of 2019, he took his life, and that was the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life. And I think um, going through that was huge for me, like transformationally. When that happened, I didn't even want to live anymore. I really just wanted to take my own life too, but I also didn't want to inflict that pain upon anybody else because I was feeling it, and so I didn't want to, keep it going. So I knew that I needed to try my best to try to get out of that feeling because I didn't want to hurt anybody else. And also, I wanted to feel better, right? But I just didn't see any way out of it because it was so devastating, and so traumatic for me. It just felt like, why is this happening to me? I felt like I had already gone through everything I needed to go through in my life, like in terms of trauma and traumatic events and hardships. And I'm like, and I've been doing so good in recovery. Like, why would this happen to me? And it was terrible. I don't wish that upon anybody. And so I tried to go to meetings, and because that was what I was used to doing, is going to meetings to help me with my problems. It's like if I'm having a bad day, I'll go to a meeting and I'll talk about it. But this was totally different. Nobody could relate to me of what was going on, and so nobody even knew what to say to me. And I felt like people were kind of afraid to help me
Mm.
because people didn't want to say the wrong thing because death is so taboo, and
Mm.
it's like it's like something people don't usually talk about, and it's like you feel uneasy to talk about it because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, and people are very fragile at that moment, so anything could trigger them.
Yeah.
And so, and understandably, right, because I was feeling that way, and so there was a lot of times where I was just like, oh my god, this person doesn't care, or like just like my brain was just, it was jumbled.
Yeah.
And so I started going to groups for group therapy, um to help. Actually, sorry, before that, I had a couple close friends who were kind of helping me throughout it. And somebody mentioned ayahuasca, because I was saying I need something, the meetings aren't helping, and I need something spiritual. I want to do something spiritual that can help me to
Mm.
connect with him, to help me connect with something, because I feel so lost and
Yeah.
so not in this world. Like I felt like I was just floating, and it's so hard to describe if you haven't gone through. It's really hard to understand, but like I just felt so detached from this world, almost like I was living somewhere else, and everybody else was, and everything just kind of seemed dark and gloomy.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was good, like everything, and no matter how much people tried, everything seemed like it had a cloud over it. And I guess that's the best way to describe depression. But
Right.
this for me, this was just, it's not something I was used to. Like I never had depression. Even through my addiction, I didn't really have there was definitely depressing moments, but I don't think I was ever depressed, like clinically depressed. And this was like a situational depression. And so yeah, when my friend mentioned ayahuasca, I was like, "What is that? I never heard of that." And they're like, "Oh, it's like something you can trip on in the jungle and it's like ceremony." And I'm like, "I can't do that. That's drugs." Like I've been trained to not do something like that from my recovery. And
Right.
I learned this is taboo. Like, no, nothing that is mind altering I can do.
Right.
And
Mm,
so I started looking into it just to see, like, oh, is it mind altering? What is it really? And so I did a lot of research on it just to see what it actually was. There was a lot of bad information online, but there's also a lot of good information as well, saying that this was life changing. It can help heal trauma,
mm,
PTSD,
mhm.
addiction, even. It can help you heal addiction,
Yeah.
and so many powerful things. And I'm like, nothing's helping. Nothing is helping. I'm going to meetings. It's not helping. I'm talking to friends. It's not helping. I'm trying. I'm trying to work out. I can barely even take a shower. Like it was bad.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, I think I need to do this. And my heart told me that I needed to do this.
Mm.
And I found this place online. It was a retreat where you can do ayahuasca. It was in Peru. And when I found the website, I had to like search like maybe 4 or 5 websites down for it. Um, it was it, the logo for it was a blue butterfly. And me and Kyle, my fiance, when we went to Costa Rica, which was the like most amazing trip ever, um, I remember he'd seen this blue butterfly and he was so impressed with the blue butterfly and so fascinated with it and thought it was the coolest thing ever because it was bright blue and it was just so beautiful. And when I seen that blue butterfly logo, it was almost as if it was a sign for me saying
Mm. Mhm.
that this is a place to go. Not only that, but the shaman, the head person that owned this retreat, had a story on there of why he decided to open this retreat. And the reason he opened it was because his girlfriend died in a motorcycle accident.
Mm.
So seeing the butterfly and also the story that resonated with mine was like two clear signs that this is the place that I need to go.
Yeah.
So I contacted the people and arranged it. And then actually one of my friends in recovery also went with me because he had lost a girlfriend a few years ago from something similar. And so we traveled down there together. And when I left to go there, I was still so very depressed and I was nervous, but I was excited. And I think my family was worried. But I was like, I need to do this. I know that I need to do this. And so I went there. I did 3 ceremonies that week, and they were absolutely life changing, like
Mm.
phenomenal.
Mm.
I had traumas that came up that I didn't even know were still there.
Mm.
I ended up seeing Kyle, and I also got messages from ayahuasca, Mother Ayahuasca, they say, that I needed to let go, and otherwise I wouldn't heal unless I let go. And I also got other really really important messages in for my recovery, and it was crazy. Like I don't even know how to explain it. Like it was as if I was in an alternate universe when I was there. And like I seen Mother Ayahuasca, I seen so many things that resonated with my life and that I needed to see and that helped me heal. Um it's like it's so much that I wouldn't need a whole other episode to get into it.
Right.
I can't
Yeah.
even I can't
Yeah.
even begin to tell you, but I can tell you that it was life changing. And
Yeah.
when I came back, my family looked at me and they're like, "You look like you just got the life put back into you. Like you
Mm.
left looking like a zombie, and you came back like looking like you've been re-energized again. Your soul is
Wow.
back." And
Yeah.
so, yeah, and that was my very first experience with ayahuasca. And yeah,
Wow.
I highly recommend it for somebody if you're going through something super traumatic and you feel like you need it. Always just ask your heart. Is this something that I need and I could benefit from? In my experience, that I got a lot of benefit out of it. I wouldn't say to everybody, "Oh, you need to go do ayahuasca." Like
Yeah.
each their own, and it's our own personal preference. And you gotta have to ask your own inner self, like if this is for you, then try it, right? But if it's not, then it's not, right? Like so, not everybody has a good experience with it. But I also just to say, I also did have a ceremony that was actually very frightening.
Mm.
Not to scare anybody, but I did. And then I explained to the shaman the next morning that I had something really like crazy things come up. And then he said that you just had so much to release, so much negativity
Mm,
to release. And so he did a prayer on me.
yeah.
And then throughout the day, I actually started feeling stronger. And I felt like I
Okay.
had gone through that ceremony because I needed to start to feel more strength and that I could conquer anything in my life. So I feel like whatever comes up for you, as long as you're doing it properly with the right people and the right environment, that's something that you need to come up. And so you just deal with it as it comes.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Like you say, that could be a whole part two. If we get you back on part two, we'll do like
Yeah.
the deep dive into everything you went through. And but yeah, thanks for sharing that. It's like I think it's very important. And I like how you have like a bit of a disclaimer at the end. It's totally like you say, follow your heart, listen to what your intuition is telling you. Definitely not for everybody.
No.
But also there's some and then there's like you say, like the right people, the right environment is a big thing too, right? And these types of things. So definitely do your own research on that and all that. But yeah, I love talking about that with you. So thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, and also I'd like to say also the right time too. It might not be the right time.
Right.
Maybe a later time would be better for you because
Smart.
it just
Smart.
depends on where you're at in your life. And also you have to be ready to integrate all the things you learn back into your life because ayahuasca is not going to fix you. It's
Right.
going to show you what you need to do and what happened and help you to heal traumas. But if you don't integrate that back in your life afterwards, then it's really not going to help you. So you got to take the things you learned and help and start applying it to your life.
I think it's very similar to anything to do with self-development. A lot of people will they'll find out something about themselves and be like, that's why I'm like that. And then that's as far as they go with it. But like, no, you still gotta, like you say, integrate it or act upon what you've learned. Otherwise it's almost worse because now you have an awareness of why you're doing something and you're choosing not to integrate it or do something about it. Right. Which I think is a stuck point for a lot of people because it's uncomfortable to continue to proceed with that. They're like, I know I do that. That's all I needed to know. And that's as far as they go with it. So it's yeah.
Because it's
Yeah,
uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to
uncomfortable.
do the
Yeah.
change and to
Yep.
like this is also Joe Dispenza stuff, and you know that because we read the book.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's programming your body and your mind. If you're programmed to do things a certain way, that's how your body's wired, right? And so you have to put in a lot of effort and force to change your body
Yep.
and your mind to do things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Once you build that habit up, then you are going to start doing naturally. It's going to be more comfortable and easier for you to execute. But at the beginning, it takes a lot of work to
Mm-hmm.
program your body and your mind to do things differently.
Definitely.
If you discover that something is an issue in your life, it's not going to be easy to stop doing that.
Right.
It's going to
Yep.
take work and you're going to have to really want to do it. And a lot of times people end up hitting a rock bottom before they start
Yep.
developing that desire to put the action in.
That's right. That's even like I think a lot of different, like Tony Robbins mentions it even too. You have to have that, or like the whole dark night of the soul aspect, right? You have to get disturbed enough to make the change, like a lasting change. Otherwise, you're always going to find a justification to continue on with it, aren't you? So yeah, very good point. Very good point. Want to be respectful for your time here. This has been a great episode. Let's just get back to like just the evolution house. And what would you say is like the pillars of the foundation for it? Like I get the idea of like evolution house. We've gotten an idea of like what are your values are and what helped you in your recovery and such. By the way, we didn't get into the I really wanted to get in the sound healing thing. I'm thinking that'll be like that'll be another part as well. I know it's fairly recent for you as far as like, and we've definitely been talking about it, but so just making a mental note of that now. But back to Evolution House, what would you say is like the pillars or like values of Evolution House, if anybody's sort of interested in reaching out to you about that?
Well, our motto is evolve into the person you were meant to be.
Mm,
So basically the meaning behind that is that everybody's meant to be great and everybody has the potential to reach that. It's up to you to evolve into that person that you are meant for, that greatness that you're meant for. And so what we want to do at Evolution House is we want to help you to achieve that. And so the way that we do that is we do it holistically. So we focus on every pillar of life and we tie it all in together to help you become a master at each area of your life. Um, so we are a sober living house. We do require you to be sober to be there because that's the best and most effective way for self growth. And also, a lot of people are coming in and they're addicts. You don't have to be an addict to come in. You could be anybody that wants to better your life. but a lot of our clients are addicts, and um, I shouldn't say addicts. I'm used to saying that, but I don't like to put labels on people.
Yeah.
Say struggling with addiction,
Hmm.
um, or substance abuse. And so a lot of them are still at that stage, and they need especially to be sober because, um, drinking is all, it can, ruin your life. So um, the things we focus on are emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical, and also financial. So we put all those things together, and we kind of cycle and rotate between different topics that we're teaching every week. And we also um, are a little bit of an independent living place. So it's not a full on treatment center where you're getting programming every day.
Mm.
You are at the stage of your life now, when if you're coming into Evolution House, where you are motivated to go out and get a job, or go and to school, or do some volunteer work, or go to meetings on your own, and then also participate in groups twice a week, and also some homework during the week that's going to help you elevate into a better version of yourself. But we do also require the individual to take the initiative to want to do these things as well.
Mm.
So yeah, we have a fitness program, we have a nutrition program, we do Reiki, so we do alternative healing, we do sound baths, we do music therapy, we do art therapy, um, we do nature walks, we do breath work. We have done holotropic breath work with our clients, which was another huge
Yeah.
topic we could get into, but
Yeah.
that's super transformational, just as
Yes.
transformational as plant medicine.
Yeah.
Um, what else? We have personalized fitness plans if you request it. Um, we do meditation at every time we meet. We always do meditation.
Yeah.
Um, we get people to journal. We get people to go to meetings. There's so many things that we try to incorporate, and we even do book club. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a lot that are there, and this is all stuff that I have learned to do in my recovery as well
Right.
over the
Right.
years, over the 9 years that I've been in recovery, that have helped me. And also stuff that Jolene, the other facilitator that works at Evolution House, has done as well. So we kind of collaborate and put input, and and we're always learning and looking for new things and new ways to help people.
Mm.
Brought mortgage brokers in to do coaching on how to buy your first home.
So
We've
cool.
brought financial coaches into how to budget, and financial basics 101.
Hmm.
So yeah, we're always looking for things like that. We do yoga. We've had yoga instructors come in. We've had martial arts instructors come in and do martial arts. Yeah, so there's like a lot of different things, but it's also all stuff that's going to help you grow and evolve into the person you're meant to be.
Yeah, it's good. Get back to the slogan. I love all of that. It's like the coolest thing about like recovery now is, to me, especially like I'd say the last 3 to 5 years, is it's a lot more like, I'm sure with the personal training and nutrition, like it's very like nuanced from person to person, and it factors in different things about like, everybody's body is different, all that. I'm finding that it's a lot like that in recovery now too, where it isn't just necessarily the black and white 12 steps, which granted, that's great, and that it has worked for a lot of people and so forth. And that's like, I always have one foot in that myself, but there's so many other elements. Like I felt like I graduated out of that at one point, and there's just so many other things that helped me, and you listed basically all of them there. So just getting into that stage where there's just so much more that you can do with recovery nowadays than ever before. And I really think that you've captured that with Evolution House. So I really admire the work that you've done and that you continue to do. So thanks for all that you do. And final question for you, put you on the spot a little bit. I'm not sure how much of this you can disclose, but I do know that you're like the manifester and all that. What are some of the future plans that you have? Are you able to disclose some of them? Like any more houses opening? Can we get like the sneak preview of things to come?
So actually, we did have a third house, and it's there right now. I'm just actually privately renting it. So if we get to the point where we get enough clients to fill both houses and we have a waiting list, like a steady waiting list, then we will be using that house for Evolution House. So it's there,
Awesome.
and it's ready for the growth that is available in the city. But we're still new, and people are still finding out about us. So
Yeah.
I do foresee that happening in the near future. But for now, this is where we're at with it. And then another exciting project, I guess I'll announce it here because a lot of people don't really know, and I haven't really told too many people about it. But Evolution House is going to open a retreat. So we're going to have a healing retreat for 2 weeks or 1 week or however we structure it. It's not yet determined, but this retreat is in Costa Rica and it's currently being built right now. So it's in the
Wow.
works. Yeah, so that's super exciting. I don't have a date for it yet, but I put a date on my board. So
there you go.
Usually when I put dates on my board for when I want to accomplish something, I do it before.
So before, okay.
Yeah, I always end up achieving it before. Vision boards are so powerful. Like
that's so cool.
Writing things down is so powerful.
Yeah.
I can't stress that enough. Like
yeah,
it's almost like I could almost say like it's magic. Like I'm
yeah.
not gonna say, oh, just write it down and don't do anything, but you have to work towards it.
Of course, you have to work for it. Yeah, continue to work for it.
Yeah, but writing it down, believing you're gonna do it and have it, you'll continue to see it. You'll continue to know why you're doing things every day to work for it, and then you'll do it. You'll end up doing it and you'll get it. So I do have a date in mind, but I'm gonna say for now, within the next couple of years, we will have a Evolution House retreat, a full-on healing retreat where you can come in and you can do sound healing, potentially plant medicine, if the person would like, obviously optional, but it can be an option for somebody. We will be doing breath work. Like I want to incorporate holotropic breath work because I think it's very, very powerful. And just being in nature and just, exploring yourself and what you are there for healing and so many other healing modalities. Like I'm so excited to incorporate so many more. Like I'm still learning and I'm still developing myself and figuring out more. There's so much alternative medicine out there. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm excited to learn more things and bring in more people to help to facilitate this retreat and help people heal.
Very cool. That's so exciting. Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you so much for, it's like breaking news, like breaking it on the show. So, it's very cool. And you're putting it out there too, right? Like you say, you got the vision board. We got it on in podcast form now too. So it's just gonna be really cool to be able to look back on this, within a couple of years and go, we were talking about it back then in the summer of 2023. So thanks for sharing that. Amazing. So if somebody wants to reach out to you or follow you online, where are you most active? Where can we find you online?
We have an Instagram page, Evolution House Canada is what the tag is. And then we also have a Facebook page. So that one I think is just Evolution House. We have a page and then we also have like a personal profile for Evolution House. So a lot of people follow us on there. If we ever have events like public sound baths, which we do once every month or 2 months. So people who are interested in doing some of our alternative medicine can come and join us for a sound bath cacao ceremony. So if you join our Facebook page or follow us, you can see when we're going to be doing our next one, and you can come get a better idea of what we do at Evolution House.
Wonderful. Sheryn, any final words? I guess I'd like to put people on the spot at the very end. Like, what's a quote or a piece of advice that comes to mind right now that really either changed your life, or if somebody's listening to this could really help them out?
I think the best thing that I could possibly say is follow your heart. Don't get so caught up in what other people are saying about your recovery or about what you're doing. I know sometimes it could be harsh out there. Something I learned is just putting my hand on my heart and asking myself a question out loud and saying, is this something that resonates with me? Is it like, am I on the right path? And if you sit quietly enough and listen, you can feel it in your body if you're on the right track or not. You can actually feel it. Your heart will speak to you. So I think if you're going through something that, you're not sure the right answer for, you're not sure if this is your gut telling you something or if this is your paranoia telling you something. I think a lot of us, that's something that we go through. Just sit with it for a little bit and put your hand on your heart and keep asking yourself, and your body and your heart will start to tell you what you need to do and what you need to focus on, what path you need to take.
Beautiful. Thanks so much for coming on today. This was a wonderful conversation. We'll definitely get you back for a part 2, potentially part 3. We'll make it a trilogy while we're at it. Thanks so much,
Awesome.
Sheryn.
Thank you.